Hello there and welcome to the studio today. So today we're going to start off a little portrait study, very similar to the kind that I used to do back when I was creating weekly portrait painting videos. So what we have here is just burnt umber oil paint, and for now I'm just going to work on just a simple linear drawing, and burnt umber is going to be my drawing color of choice. So in this little cup here we have Liquin Original. That's what I'm going to use as my medium. And over here we have my brush cleaner, which is Citrus Essence brush cleaner, and just a little bit of paper towel and a drawing brush. And this painting is going to be intended to be a study for a much larger painting that I'm going to want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get a little bit of medium onto the canvas. Now the canvas has already been toned with oil paint, so this color is actually kind of the combination of all the colors that were on my palette one day. I just mixed them up with the palette knife and just apply the paint. And this is probably several weeks old. So I just want to have a little bit of medium. So I'm just putting the Citrus Essence brush cleaner. So I'm going to let it settle into the canvas just a little bit. So this should act just like odorless mineral spirits, meaning it'll start to evaporate in about 20 minutes or so. But just getting kind of a little bit of medium onto the surface, I find just usually helps me when I'm drawing with a paintbrush. So I'm going to put a little tiny bit of Liquin onto my drawing brush, and this is a tiny size 2 round brush, but the brush actually says 4 round master's touch. And if you want to know exactly what materials I'm using, if you're new to this channel, you can always go ahead and scroll down to the description box below, and I'll have all that information typed up for you. And here we have an image of our model Steve, and I'm going to keep a picture of him to the top left corner of your screen so you can refer to it as the painting develops. So we're going to start off with the classical Umber sketch. This is the way that you saw me start my paintings. And this is going to be kind of the format of my much older YouTube portrait painting demonstration. So I thought I would bring back kind of the classic way that I created these videos. And for today, we're going to focus on the underlying drawing, the underlying linear construct of the painting. So after so many paintings, after so many portrait painting demonstrations, I really realized that the simplicity and the power of the umber sketch, the burnt umber sketch, is really kind of the strongest tool that I have when it comes to starting, at least with paint, starting in direct paint. So what we have here is a simple architectural block in. You can also refer to this as the envelope. We just have a general shape for the model's head and the bottom of the model's beard. Now we're looking at the back corner of the side of the skull, and we have a little line here for the eye socket, and let's put in a little line right there for the nose. So we have a general idea now of where we want the model's head to fit into the canvas. So let's go ahead and just put in a little shape there for the side of the concavity of the eye socket, following through to the other side, very much like sunglasses. Imagine them like sunglasses, just standing in where the model's eye socket is going to fit. So I'm thinking about just shape right now. To be honest, I'm not even thinking three-dimensional right now. I'm thinking very simple, very two-dimensional, like just trying to get an idea of these simple shapes. Now, with the last painting that I did, those of you that saw the last one, I think that the underlying drawing kind of struggled a little bit. I think I rushed it a little bit. So with this one, we're definitely going to have a portrait study, and we're going to try to complete this portrait study to the most high finish that we possibly can. So I'm just going to go ahead and just erase a little bit of the value that I put in for the eye socket. So remember that I'm just looking at shape, and each feature, let's say each eye is going to be started off as just a single brush stroke. And again, this is going to be a portrait study for the larger painting. Remember yesterday we toned the canvas for that larger painting. So here we have a little shape here for one eye. So the eye to the left of your screen is going to be just a single brush stroke, and the eyebrow just a little mass. So really we have a little triangle that we're working on right now. One point would be the eye to the left, one point the eye to the right, and then the point for the nose. It's the most basic kind of triangle. And now we're going to start to sketch in. Now we're sketching in just a simple little shape for the ear. Now the ear is kind of, it's gonna move around a little bit in the Umber sketch. Right now, really, I'm just trying to lock my focus into that little triangle that we've established, the two eyes and the nose. Now, looking at the bottom of the nose, I'm going to go ahead and draw a little accent mark for the corner of the nostril. And again, just using simple straight lines and angles. As you always hear me say, if you keep your shapes simple and easy, then when the time comes to make the corrections, those corrections will be simple and easy to manage. So again, I'm trying to keep every feature extremely simplified using simple straight lines and angles. And now we're going to look at the side of the model's face and relate that to the corner of the eye socket and the nose. Every little bit is relating to that little triangle. I'm kind of basing everything off that little triangle, and the triangle again being two eyes and the nose. And you've seen many of my portrait painting demonstrations start off in this style. The only difference now is that we're going to spend much longer with this underlying Umber sketch, and we're going to treat this just like a drawing. So even though this is a painting, this is going to be treated just like a drawing, where I'm trying to solidify the strength of those simple lines. And the odorless mineral spirits that I used to use to wipe onto the canvas, again, this citrus essence brush cleaner that I wiped onto the canvas acts just the same. So what it's helping with is the erasing and with the application of paint. So it's only been about, I don't know, a couple minutes into the start of the block in, and the paint is still fairly versatile, fairly flexible onto the canvas. So applying that little tone or that little layer of your brush cleaner or your mineral spirits is going to be very useful for your umber sketch in terms of the paint application and the ease of erase. Notice how easily I can erase with the paper towel. And again, the paper towel that you use is going to be kind of important. I like to use a Viva brand paper towel. It seems to be my favorite paper towel, and it seems to be a lot of artists' favorite paper towel. So that is the Viva like cloth paper towel. And so again, we're taking this block in one step at a time. And those of you that are new to this channel, the block in means basically blocking in all of the simple shapes of the portrait with just a few straight lines and angles. And if you've never done an umber drawing of this style, burnt umber or raw umber, or whichever umber color, I think that it's important to have kind of a tone on the canvas. That's why I toned it with the oil paint earlier. It's already kind of starting to look kind of like a red chalk drawing, or like an old master's red chalk drawing, and that's kind of the look that I'm going after. Again, these days I kind of tend to favor more in the direction of the old masters, Rembrandts, Caravaggio's, Raphael. This is starting to, at least in my mind, kind of resemble a Michelangelo red chalk drawing. Now, I'm not saying my drawing skills are anywhere near the drawing skills that Michelangelo had, but just the kind of the color of the burnt umber the burnt umber drawing color and the tone of the surface kind of looks like an older red chalk drawing. And again, I'm just kind of looking at this angle between the two eyes, and I just want to make sure that that angle is as correct as I can make it. And another thing that I should talk about that I really didn't talk about too much in my older portrait painting demonstrations is the usage of time. Um, and I may have touched on this a few times, but in my older portrait painting demonstrations, I was really pushing myself to get a portrait painting onto a canvas or a panel and have it presentable by each Saturday. That's the way that I used to do it, and really, I think it's better to take it one step at a time, especially for those of you that are beginners out there. Um, Notice how much time I'm taking with these simple shapes, these simple straight lines and angles, and you're going to hear me say that a lot. Um, it's really about getting your best onto the canvas or the panel. Put your best on there, and even if it takes you a day, 5 days, a week, 3 weeks, whatever it may be, you will at least be able to look back at the work that you created and really enjoy it and not having this feeling of having to rush and get something on there just because, oh my goodness, it's been 3 hours that I've been working on this and it still looks like it did in the first 10 minutes. And that takes a little bit of artistic patience, and that's going to be something that you'll develop. It takes time to develop that kind of patience. Some of us have more patience than others. When I first started making these videos, I honestly didn't have as much patience as I do now. And back then, I was really trying to just push the alla prima aspect of the painting and kind of letting some things go that I probably should have paid attention to. But in any case, what that relates to with the painting at the stage that it's in now is that we're now introducing, or we have now introduced almost all the elements that are going to be taking part in this composition. Now we're putting in a little bit of a shape there for the side of the mustache and the side of the face. Now what you're going to see me do is just move back and forth between all of these shapes that I placed in. Think about it like a puzzle. If someone gives you, I don't know, 4 pieces of a puzzle, and I'm not talking about a jigsaw puzzle because that wouldn't be as elaborate. If you have 4 pieces of some kind of puzzle and you have to link them together, think about it as if I give you 4 numbers and a pattern. Maybe if I give you 3 numbers and then 4 numbers afterwards and tell you how do these numbers fit in relation to one another. It's really about making sure that you optimize everything you can with the least bit of information that you can, especially in the beginning stages. Um, Many of my own students, I've really seen them grow, I've seen them progress, and it all really happens when they learn how to manage their own time in relationship to their own working pace. So, really, knowing your own working pace will help you out so much. Now, let's get into some of these smaller shapes here. So, this is a dry brush. This is a pretty used up bristle brush, pretty fairly beat up bristle brush. So, I just used it to kind of help me draw a little bit. And now we're going to put in a few little marks for the side of these little shapes beneath the lower eyelid. And now let's go ahead and just subtract a little bit there with the bristle brush. So looking at all of these smaller shapes now in relation to the larger shapes is going to be much easier than if we had started off with all of these smaller shapes in the beginning without any kind of idea of what the larger shapes are going to look like. Now, it's not always the case that you have to work this way, big shape, little shape. In the past, I have made videos. My most popular video titled Breaking the Rules, where I started off with just the two eyes and then worked from there. Yeah, it's certainly possible. It makes it a little bit harder, at least in my opinion. It makes drawing a little bit more difficult. But each person, to each their own. I'm just showing you a way that I've found that not only works for me, but works with other people. And again, this is the real life stuff that we do every day in the studio. And it's tremendous fun to be able to come in here every day and observe nature and try to recreate it on a canvas, whether we're working from a live model or photo reference. It's really a tremendous joy to be able to depict the beauty in nature on the canvases that we work on. So now we're putting in a little tiny shape for the upper eyelid. And notice how the eye itself is a single brushstroke still. And we only added another brushstroke just now for the upper eyelid. Now we're going to re-examine the side of the model's forehead. And again, remember, it's all about relating all of these pieces of the puzzle to one another, trying to look at angles, trying to look at distances, and making sure that they work in relation to one another, not trying to copy the photograph. That's the tricky part. We're not trying to copy the photograph. Even though you're trying to get as close as you can to what the photograph looks like, it's not about that. It's about looking at the visual information, taking it in, interpreting it, and then creating a painting. Now we're going to take a look at just a little bottom shape here for the nose. So again, we're going to put the little side for the wing of the nose back. My fear is that the nose may be getting a little bit long, so I'm going to go and push that shape up with the paper towel. And even still at this point, the drawing is very flexible. Notice how I'm pushing the shape of the nose up. Never be afraid to make a change on your canvas. Never have any fear in erasing what you spent maybe 15 or 20 minutes on and just correcting it. As long as you have it correct, things will make much more sense than trying to justify your errors. So now we're going to go ahead and put the wing of the nose back, the side of the wing of the nose. And again, correcting mistakes is all part of the learning process. And again, like I always say, I love Bob Ross's his teachings and his videos and his work, but we have different philosophies. Bob Ross's philosophy is we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. But in portrait, in particular, I find I definitely make mistakes. But I learn the most when I can correct my mistakes. And having the objectivity of looking at my own work and saying, well, I definitely am lacking in this, I'm lacking in that, it really does help just make me that much stronger. So see how easy it is to move the nose up. Now we're just going to move the mustache up just a little bit to compensate for that. And we're just going to kind of soften that little edge there, just so it doesn't look too sharp with the dry bristle brush. So now I think that the little triangle is finally starting to take shape. The little triangle being the two eyes and the nose. And it's especially nice when you're working with a model that has lots of facial hair, because it really then it shows you just how important that little triangle is between the two eyes and the nose. So now let's just go ahead and adjust the side of the model's face, just kind of pushing that little outside shape inwards a little bit. And just kind of adjusting this shape for the side of the facial hair. Not sure if that's where I want it to be, but that's okay. And here we have just a little tiny shape. Let's relate one side to the other, relating this side to this side for the cheekbone, the zygomatic bone. Just going to adjust a little bit of the shape for the eyebrows. Now, eyebrows are a small detail, but they're still going to be kind of important. So now we're going to look at the corner of the antihelix of the ear. That is the little shape for the back of the ear. And now we're going to put in a little shape for the tragus of the ear. So that is a little corner there. So here we have the tragus. So the tragus is just a little mark that we're going to place in right there. So that shape right there is going to be for the tragus of the ear. And now we're going to re-examine the facial hair, just the shape of the beard, try to get some of the rhythms and movements. But I think that's going to be about it for the linear block in for the portrait. I think I'm going to just adjust this little shape here on the side of the zygomatic bone, but I think that's going to be about it. So I really hope that this video helps you out. I wish you the best in all of your artwork, and just going to adjust this little shape here on the side of the model's face just to soften the edge. But in any case, I'll be back again tomorrow, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.